Hey guys, Veebat here with another V-Place, taking a look at the very iconic Ta-152. If you don't have this aircraft, you've most likely been shot down by it, and it's absolutely a devastating force on the battlefield in the right hands, fully admitting that I might not be those right hands. I don't know why, but I just have an issue getting these 103s to land on target, but that does not mean it is not a capable platform, and this is going to be coming off that Focke Wulf 190 D-line like we were talking about before, and the difference here is you immediately go into an altitude fighter opposed to a multi-role, so you're breaking off into a completely different arena, but it makes sense where it is because this was actually built by Focke Wulf. They only built a few of these in the H model, which is the final airframe upgrade. You note it has these huge wings, very skinny. Those are actually going to be high lifting body wings. It's a design we still use today. It's actually taken from the same principles that are used for the glider aircraft. And we actually see it in some of the reconnaissance aircraft, like a U-2 has wings similar to this. And that really makes sense because the H model was designed to be a scout aircraft as well. Come on now. There it is. So this would allow you to be able to get a little bit more lift out of the wings and give it a little bit more fuel economy for doing those reconnaissance flights. But who cares about wings? Who cares about altitude performance? It's all about this derptastic gun setup. Three 30mm cannons, Mark 103s, mounted on an airframe that's relatively nimble. It's an 11.1 second turn time, but for the altitude you'll be operating at, you'll easily be able to chase down, track on, and get these heavy fighters that think that they can mess with you up here. That was unexpected. The ability to reach out and touch people and the shell velocity is the other thing that really makes this airframe as good as it can be. Let's get this guy. There we go, finally. We did not manage to keep him from getting the zone, kind of expected that. Ooh, takes a second to register just like all the other derp cannons we've used. But yeah, it's got really good range. You can knock people out of the sky fairly effectively, and when this thing hits somebody and it makes contact with all three of those shells, it doesn't make the sound of like a ka-chunk off your aircraft and some of your health's missing. It sounds like somebody just smashed your front windshield in with a brick, and you just see the health disappear off of your airframe, and all your modules blink out in almost an instant. This is not the fight I want to get into, Typhoon. I feel like the closer I get to, the less accurate I am with these. There's that crippling hit like we talked about. But staying on this guy and having this P-51 coming at me. Come on, P-51, bring it. Gotcha. Now you can volley fire this fairly effectively, but again, I want to line these shots up. There it is. Let's come over here and see if we can help these guys get this mining facility. I feel like a mining facility is I know a mining facility is a very important spot to get, just because the ability to tick over and build so many points up. That's the whole point, right, is to get those capture points. I don't even think I had a registered hit on him. That's the whole point, though, is to get these points and get these zones flipped. So I'm glad we could come over here and help, albeit probably not enough. Heading back to the middle, gonna do a little bit of defensive work. Oh, I do see a GA coming in. Might as well go for it, right? See, the difference with these cannons I found is that I underestimate their shell velocity. So unlike with the Yak-9, where I would pull a lot of lead on the target, I'll find myself a lot of the time aiming right at the aircraft. Like even there, it seemed like the shells were lagging behind, but in reality they were making good contact. So pull a lot less lead than you normally would think to. Just like that. See that we got a bomber over here. I'm gonna go ahead and try and get over there and give him a hand.
A line of thunderstorms is approaching. We'll soon be unable to provide support. Do you copy? Over. We're in control of all plans.
There we go. Now I can do what I said I was going to do. Couldn't just leave that guy coming straight in at me.
Way to go! Victory is close.
We got 13 seconds till squall line. I would like to wait to take out Glenn over here, which is good because the 109 is closer right now.
We cannot support you any longer. The storm is too heavy. Do you copy? Over.
Looks like the B-32 is out. There we go, finally. Like I said, I just have a heck of a time getting these shells to hit, but hopefully you're seeing what the aircraft is capable of, and that its turn time is good enough to be able to do what it needs to do, because it has the ability to hit those targets so far out that you won't necessarily need to get in those turning fights if you can land those shots on target. Not even close.
Great job.
Alright. Anyways, let's go back to the hangar and take a better look at this airframe, since I'm obviously not doing it justice. But the point here is you got a fantastic platform that has the ability to dirt people out of existence at much greater ranges than you would see with any of the previous aircraft, like the Focke Wulf 190D, the Focke Wulf A4. It just... They had those Mark 108s, but the Mark 103s were already a fantastic gun for anybody who's had a chance to utilize that cannon on the ME-209 Alpha, or using it on the BVP-203 now, or the DOE 335. The shell velocity is so quick that it's a lot easier to use, and a total departure from the video I did with the Yak-9U, because I've been flying the Yak-9U a lot trying to get that suit not unlocked for you guys, but it's this shell velocity is actually so fast that I'm having trouble acclimating to it. But my point still stands that this is an incredible range, 3,100 feet, and you have the ability to hit people all the way out to 3,894 with the current setup. And I do I don't even have any of the modifications or any of the equipment on here for guns yet. So you can still, once you specialize this platform, you can actually increase that range even more. And you saw I was firing those shots. We were very methodical with them. We were trying not to overheat the gun. Usually about 3 shots in a burst is the best that you're going to see out of this thing. But you get this amazing set of guns, and they're doing a lot of damage in a single hit, 420 cumulative damage. Now, that's not spectacular DPS score, but when you're talking about the instantaneous damage, it's a different math that's coming out of this thing than what you would see for if you were looking at the damage output of, oh, I don't know, let's take a look at the XF5U pumps out 680 damage a second on this heavy fighter, but then you look at this thing and it's only doing 420, and then you've got 400 damage a second coming out of this BVP210, and you're like, well, wait a minute, the Ta-152, that's only doing 420, but it's going to hit like a truck, man. It's a completely different ball game. And the platform is just fantastic, and this is what I was talking about with the H. The original wing design is actually straight off of a Focke Wulf 190. Focke Wulf kind of used the initial design, and they actually came out with several different variants of this same platform. In fact, the H model was never supposed to have 3 30mm cannons. It was only supposed to have 1 and 2 20mm cannons mounted in the wing roots. But these cannons are actually going to count as synchronized despite the fact that they're on the wings, because they are still inside the prop wash. So they are close enough to centerline that these things are very centrally located. And one of them is centrally located, being a hub cannon. So sharing all the same flight profile, the shell velocity, these things are going to get out there, they're going to touch people, and they're not going to have an opportunity to outmaneuver your shots most of the time. So when you get here, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, and that altitude performance just skyrockets up to 8,202 for max optimal. But you have a service ceiling of nearly 15,000 feet, so you can really push this thing to the limit, and a solid airspeed with boost up to 487. And at tier 8, that's nothing to turn your nose up at. That's going to get the job done for an altitude fighter to get it to where it needs to be. And like I said, its maneuverability is, it's at 11.2 right now, and that's with kind of a balanced setup right now. I don't even have the aerodynamics expert on here to boost both of those pieces of equipment up, so there's still some room for improvement here, and we still have another slot underneath engines, so we can drop on here the lightweight power unit if someone was so inclined, in order to be able to make this thing a little bit more nimble so it can stay up there, compete with those 209 alphas and those Mustang H's that are flying around at this tier 8 bracket. So anyways, this is the Ta-152. Again, I don't think I did it justice, but every battle I've had has pretty much been this battle that you just saw. So best of luck to you guys. I hope that this fits your playstyle, because everybody I've talked to that has this thing in the hangar seems to love it. I am learning to love it, and I think you guys will have a good time with it as well. It's definitely something that you'd want to get at some point during your World of Warplanes career, if you would. So again, hope to see you guys out there, and have a good one.